raise high at GW here at Foggy Bottom. The excitement level with Coach Caputo. We have lots of things to talk about, but we went to the postseason last year. We've taken strides, but this year the excitement, the expectations. In case anybody doesn't know, they're picked, in the top half of the A10, probably, in my opinion, first or second. Things are on the upswing. You got some guys returning. You have some new guys. What's the feeling right now?
Yeah, I mean, we're excited about where we're at. I thought none of this is really possible without taking a good step forward last year, getting the 20 wins, getting the postseason, and then returning the core of that team. It allows us to build the continuity that you need to be successful in college basketball, but then also the commitment institutionally to keep this thing moving in the right direction, the ability to not only retain but then bring in some really quality transfers, I think has put us in a good position. And yeah, I'm excited about the excitement, and yet there's a lot of work to do, and we got to play the games. We can't live off preseason hype, but it's exciting to have this type of interest in the program at this moment.
Look, you're building it the right way, in the long-term way. The president's the same. Michael Lippitz is in his second year. You're on your fourth year. Things are all going in the right generational way. And then it is a little nerve-wracking, like, is Caputo going to take the next step in GW? That's the buzz around the DMV, which is a good thing. All the way to Baltimore to Richmond, people are talking about the Revs. They're talking about you and your staff. They're talking about Castro. They're talking about Christian Jones. And they're talking about Trey Autry. And you kept players. We're going to wait for the next segment to talk about the team roster, but like in a day and age where a lot of kids, the minute they play well left, they stayed. That's a credit to you.
And I thought, it's really a credit to the institution, right? Like I thought when I got the job here that while we're going to all be subject to some level of attrition with transfers, like the George Washington University, our location, our academic profile, I thought the environment that the staff could create here, guys could get better. They would be invested in, like all those things. If we could move the program in the right direction there, some of the bones of being in D.C. and being at George Washington, we would be able to keep guys here, and I think that's proven to be true.
Yeah, and the history of the program, and you taught me this 17 postseason, and that's NIT, that's NCAA. You went to the Crown last year, which is a new tournament in Vegas with all the big players.
Yeah.
Now the question is, everyone gets so excited, Chris, and I want to talk about like the team building. How do you keep the team we're not there yet? In other words, you have a first teamer in Castro. You have two other all-league players in Trey Autry and Christian. You have some new players we're going to talk about later. How do you keep them working towards getting better? Because you've done a good job of making guys better. Everybody that comes here gets better. How do you keep that going while don't read your press clippings? But yeah, we want to be picked one or two.
Yeah, I don't think you want to shy away from the interest in the program. And yet, on the same token, we got to understand that every year is different, and that you really are getting judged by what you do every day. And so, yeah, that's the balance for us. But I think that's a better problem to have than looking at your team and feeling like, hey, we don't have enough to be successful.
Or no one cares about us.
Or no one
people
cares.
care is huge. Speaking of caring.
Yeah, apathy is the worst thing, right? And we don't have that right now. After, quite honestly, a number of years where it may have been like that.
Sure.
For different reasons.
And if you're not being talked about, it's, you just obviously want to be good. But I will tell you this, you seem to schedule with that in mind. Going to Florida, which is a neutral game, where the Panthers play. Going to Army, which I think is a trip I want to talk about. And then South Florida in a neutral. And then going to the Cayman Islands with a strong, not Power 5, but really good mid-major plus, leagues. Going to that. Was that part of the plan? Is it like the Florida game? I don't want to. They just won the national title. What were you thinking? No, but that's a great game.
No, we want to improve the schedule. That was part of the long-term plan. Is in the short term we needed to build up enough momentum in terms of home games and building out the fan base back from post-COVID, no fans, and now we need to improve the schedule. And that's become much more difficult in this day and age. There's less home and homes. The MTEs are kind of freezing out people like ourselves and others. And so you have
the Florida thing, that's a national team. How'd that work? I just think that's an outstanding game to play.
Yeah, well, I think, credit one to Michael, who was on the Orange Bowl committee at one. He worked for the Orange Bowl in the late 90s, early 2000s. I've got a lot of relationships. I pretty much know everybody on the Orange Bowl committee from my time at Miami. But I do think where we are preseason, metrics-wise, allows Florida to say, yes, we'll take that game on a neutral site, knowing that, hey, obviously they're a top 5 team. in every metric. But for us to be like at least a quad 2 game there allows us to get that game. And I think it speaks to kind of where we're at, that you get the national champs on a neutral site.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Make
South
the
Florida,
trip down.
same thing. They're kind of in our category. You get the Hall of Fame to open up and say, hey, we'd like for you guys to play on a neutral site up there. All those are super positive for us.
G-Dubs alums, if you're down there, because it's in the Panthers area.
We got 15,000 alums in Florida. We need them in the building.
You got to be there. I want to talk really quickly before we end this session. Going to Army, going to the military installation of the U.S. Army. What a school, what those young men go through. Tell me about that, why you picked that game down. Because nobody would have a home and home with them, really. I mean, you're doing them a favor, but tell us why you wanted to do that.
And Kevin Kuik's a good friend, and he served in the Army, which is incredible. But, you know, the idea, no one's got more respect for our military than I do, and I just feel like it's an incredible experience for our staff and our guys to go see what those young people are doing to help lead our country, and to be there on that hallowed ground for me is just something we couldn't turn down.
I love that. I think it's great for the players. We're going to come back for the next segment, talk about the roster, the new players, the ones coming back. So much excitement here around the basketball program.
Raise high, revolutionaries. This is our calling. For more than 200 years, in the heart of the nation's capital, the George Washington University has produced leaders on the global stage. At GW, we are advancing knowledge, serving society, and making an impact. We shape the future. We make history. So rev up, expand your world, ignite your passion, strive for success. Together, we raise high.
Raise High at GW is brought to you by Vanda Pharmaceuticals. Vanda is a proud sponsor of the Smith Center 50th anniversary and GW Athletics. And by the George Residences. Live above it all.
Welcome back to Raise High here at George Washington Basketball. Coach Caputo, so excited about the year. We talked about the travels, the schedule, the A10, your pick to win it, 1 through 4 in all the publications. Great place to be because you have good players. And that
no one's
helps.
ever won without them.
We need good players. And then what are we going to do? We're going to keep our good players. Christian, who I thought really improved last year, Trey Autry, and then Castro, who was, quite frankly, to me, going around the country, one of the surprises of the country.
Yeah.
Transfers from Providence, plays the 5 and 4, more athletic, scores it. You talk about those 3 and Garrett first, because Garrett's back, which is great news. Can you give us those 4 come back? You have 4 out of 5 starters back in an era when that's not very normal.
Yeah, I think it's what's unique is, you know, obviously Raphael comes from the idea of going from the Big East to the A10, getting more opportunity and having an incredible year. I'm also really proud of the other 3 guys are homegrown. You know, Christian Jones, red shirts. You know, Garrett was at Princeton for a short time, but obviously really started his freshman year here, dealt with a lot of injuries. I think he's going to have a great year. It's going to take him some time, you know, to get back. You don't play basketball in 16 months. It's going to take some time to get comfortable with your confidence. And then Trey, obviously, you know, gone through, you know, maybe it's because he's a coach's son, but he's gone through a very typical college career. Shows up as a freshman, gets some opportunity, works his way in the starting lineup, has a very good year. Now in his junior year, you know, he's feeling really good about where he is. So I think that foundation is really strong. And then, you know, getting Ty Bevins and Trey Moss back, guys who've been in the program, kind of know what's going on, really helpful. And then being able to add to make sure that our talent level is towards the top of the league if possible, you know, it was really important.
Chris does a great job with having alumni and lots of people back with this. You know, it's a fantasy camp with guys that know basketball. They're excited to play. They were impressed with Ty Bevins. Ty Bevins made a lot of shots in the scrimmage. Yeah. And I'm working backwards. Marshall's a new player from Western Kentucky, can play the 3-4 really good. Yeah. Trey Dinkins is going to be on here later, who's a transfer from Duquesne. Boo Boo Benjamin, who gives you depth too, and then Luke Hunger from Northwestern. You now have what everyone else has, these new guys.
And John Aaron Guerin.
And John Aaron Guerin from Hofstra, who's really good. I watched him play last year at Towson. You have this core of second 5 that could give your first 5 a real game. Tell us about that. Yeah. Tell us about how the new guys are adapting. And everybody goes through. It's so strange you have to have this terminology that you get through in coaching, and now you have to teach it to half of your team. Yeah. Tell us about that process.
We can feel sorry for ourselves, but, you know, in some ways, 7 new guys, if you had the freshmen, and, you know, when you and I started coaching, that would be like a lot. Now we have the least amount of new guys of anybody in the league, so we can't really make that excuse. We've got to get those guys up to speed. And, you know, the way we play in terms of offensive pace and then defensive pressure, like we're going to play a lot of guys. We could potentially have different lineups on different nights. I'm trying to prepare everybody for that as best I can. But also, you know, iron sharpens iron, and you hope that the competition sort of raises everyone's standard level. And, the biggest thing in the process of bringing players in is kind of making them understand that on the way in, and having the right intentions in terms of, you know, what they were looking for in this transfer. I think hopefully we're providing all that, but we're also not. I've joked, you know, this is not Home Alone. We're not making Home Alone, and you're Kevin, and that's the star of the show. Like, we're doing something different here. It's more like Ocean's 11.
Oh, we like that.
You know,
Oh, I
it's
like
an
the
ensemble
too.
cast. Yeah.
Speaking of an ensemble cast, your staff stayed together.
Yeah. I think
Once again, you got players coming back and a staff that stays together.
Yeah, I think we've lost guys throughout the years. I think for better opportunities, which is great, and you always want to encourage that and help people grow. But I do think with all the changes in the roster, if you can keep your staff together, that gives you the best chance to implement. You know, I think if you were changing both at the same time, it's possible. I know Nate Oates did it a few years ago at Alabama. It was really impressive. But better to keep the group together to help instill, you know, the culture with guys returning.
Well, we appreciate your time. The expectations around here are big, but so's the energy and the excitement level. You've done a great job, and believe me, it's going to be a fun year.
Okay, so I just landed and now I need to get a taxi home. How much to downtown? 75.
Welcome back to Raise High here at George Washington. Trey Dinkins, special guest, Philadelphia, went to Canisius, then Duquesne, and now his final stop as a save best for last is here in Foggy Bottom. Welcome aboard,
Appreciate
my
you.
man.
Appreciate
Get some experience, older guy. The transfer portal has changed. Everybody's used to hearing where you went to school. Canisius, then you upgraded to Duquesne. Now you upgraded to George Washington. You picked high. How's your transition been?
Transition's been a tough, long journey, but I'm excited to be here at the end of the day. Transferring is a little different for me. I would say, obviously, I want to be where, you know, it's best fit for me and myself and to put my family in a better position. So at the end of the day, like, the coaching staff took me with open arms, man. I'm just blessed and happy to be here. I'm blessed to have an extra year at that. So I'm just ready to get out here and play for this last year. So.
You can make jumpers, good shooter, but to give experience, you have Christian, you have Trey, and you have Castro, 3 guys back. Garrett is obviously coming off an injury. So there's that core that's been here. You're in a new group. You, Boo-Boo, Marshall's really good from Kentucky, yourself, John from Hofstra. We can go down the list. So there's kind of like the guys that have been here. Tell us about what it's like with the transfer group. And, like, you've been through this. Not everybody's transfer, you know, going from Canisius to Duquesne. Like, do you tell the younger transfers, like, this is how some of the things work, or, you know, how you have to be respectful, but yet you're still fighting for playing time? Tell us your, like, thought process as the older, wiser man.
I feel like we all have our, you know, we had our different situations coming in here. I tell the guys, just stay confident, stay consistent, just keep working hard. I feel like our connectivity, especially through the summer, has been well. Us transfers and the guys that return, I feel like we had a good job of, you know, just staying together, having that bond, you know, playing together. We always, you know, get shots up before and after practice and things like that. And I feel like our bond off the court is pretty well, and that's important, especially a team like this. I mean, we're talking, you know, one of the top teams in the A10, so we have to go the extra mile and do the extra things to be successful, and I feel like we did a pretty good job of that so far.
Yeah, and you know how hard this league is being at Duquesne. Also, you kind of picked the schedule up here. You go to Florida, you play the national champs in a neutral site. You play South Florida and Connecticut. You go on the road and play Army. And then you go to the Cayman Islands, and then, of course, you have the tough league schedule. You've been through this stuff before. You know how, like, playing Florida and when the games are hard. You do that at Canisius, very difficult. When the better teams you play, or it's in their state and stuff. So you get that kind of experience. But you wanted that coming here. Like, what was the big draw? You see what a beautiful place Washington is. This is different. You know, you grew up in Philly, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. Now you in Washington. It's kind of you're growing with this.
Yeah.
Was that one of the reasons you came? Was it the schedule, the players? Was it coming to Washington, D.C.? What was your thought process of why you came here to George Washington University?
I felt like it was a little bit of everything. Obviously, the environment around here is beautiful. I like everything I see so far. Like doing things outside of basketball that I love to do. You know, I just like the staff. The staff, like I said, took me with open arms. They're very respectful. You know, they kept it real. I felt like I'm big on loyalty. So obviously that was big for me. But at the end of the day, I just want to come here and have fun. I like the group that he brought in. I like the guys that came back. And I feel like we could do something big here. So that's pretty much the main reason why I chose GW.
Yeah, you want to go? Yeah, I went to the Crown last year. This year, the NCAA is the goal, so because
Right.
winning helps everybody. And you've had an interesting run because you seem to get better as you go to better places. Sometimes guys go to places and it's over their head, etc. Like, are you working harder in the gym? Like, as you went from Canisius to Duquesne, what was something you did different there? Like, where did you learn? Like, are you spending more time in the gym? Are you watching more tape?
Yeah.
Do you hit the weight room? Like, tell us some things you picked up along the way.
I say for first it was changing my body, trying to get in, you know, elite shape, best shapes possible. Obviously going to the gym, getting reps on reps, just staying in, focusing, watching more film with coaches, even by myself. I try to do the extra things that'll make a big difference in my game because I feel like my game is unique. So I try
What do
to.
you think is the most unique thing about your game? That you can ball handle and shoot?
Yeah, I feel like my ability to shoot off the dribble and play make as well. I just like to go out there and like have fun and do what I can to help the team win. So I just always play with a chip on my shoulder and try to make a big impact in winning.
Well, we love that answer because you're the basketball town, basketball city. Coach Caputo's doing a great job. We have Kevin coming back. It's going to be a fantastic segment with the new women's basketball coach. But things are so exciting here. You're part of the new era, and we're going to have a really great season. And we're glad you chose us.
For sure.
So yeah, outrage is trending. Our feed's stirring us up, splitting us up. What if we came out from behind our walls and keyboards just for a sec and just go yard, front yard? Come out bagging, jumping, check on that Johnsonville feed. Let our individual flavors blend together. Yes, block nobody, block party. Keep it juicy.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is John Carlos from GW Men's Basketball Team. Hoping everyone had a joyous and festive Hispanic Heritage Month.
Hi, my name is Rafael Castro, and this year I celebrated my Hispanic heritage by making a Dominican dish for my roommates, and that's mangú con los tres golpes.
Hey GW fans, I'm Natalia Sierra Vargas. I'm on the women's basketball team. Hispanic Heritage Month to me means being able to honor those who came before me, the Latinos who paved the way for the opportunities that I have today, and just celebrating my culture. I'm Mexican and Puerto Rican, so for me it's just being able to represent where I'm from, San Diego, with a big Mexican diaspora, and also the island of Puerto Rico, where my dad is from.
Welcome back to Raise High at GW. We switch gears now to the women's basketball side, and we're joined by first-year women's basketball head coach Ganiat out of Dunton. Coach G, welcome back to GW. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Excited to be back.
How was the offseason? We mentioned this is not your first offseason at GW. It's first as a head coach, but you're back in the program after being an assistant here, going to Colgate. What's the offseason been like leading the program here at GW?
Yeah, number one has just been building relationships with our players, getting connected firstly with our coaching staff, and then setting the tone for what our culture is going to look like and what we want our identity to be. It's been great getting a chance to know the entire roster, getting a chance to know them as people off the court, learning what their goals are, what motivates them, what inspires them, and then just what their ambitions are for the future. So spending a lot of time intentionally as a coaching staff with them, and then getting on the court and working, trying to help us, help them grow and develop in all aspects.
That learning curve is always there for any time you take over a new role, right? And then there's the learning curve of I got to learn a new city, learn a new job, where am I going to live? That wasn't the case this time because you were back at GW. What was it like to have that experience of coming back to the city and being able to jump back in so you could invest more time in those relationship building opportunities?
It was great.
Yeah.
I already knew exactly the area that I wanted to live.
Yeah.
So the focus could just be solely on the job and getting rolling and assessing and analyzing what we have and what we had and what we need. The hiring process was a priority from the jump in trying to hire what I think ended up being an excellent staff for us. I always think it starts with the coaching staff because then it trickles down into who's going to be helping you develop your student athletes, who's going to be helping you recruit new student athletes to help you accomplish the goals that you have set out. So being in a familiar place for sure allowed for a level of comfortability, I would say. Anytime you take a new job, it always takes some time. It takes some time to feel settled, but it was definitely nice to not have to learn where the grocery store is or what area to live.
There you go. That's the most important part. You mentioned your staff. A familiar face, Sherelle Baker, was on the staff here, but prior GW, you bring her back, introduce her, and then talk about what was it like building that staff.
Yes, hiring Sherelle was one that was means a lot to me. The fact that she even agreed to come back to GW. I know she liked her time here. Really appreciated what GW stands for. She was most recently in Bucknell, and we coached against each other in the league. And it was a relationship, I would say, that kind of sprung in a professional way over the last couple of years because we were in the same league together. She and I actually grew up in the state of Georgia together. We played in the same Georgia All-Star game. So a lot of familiarity with Sherelle over the years, and it's been great just having her on our staff. Someone that knows GW enough to be able to come back and say, hey, I want to do this with you. So it means a lot to me that she decided to say yes to that. Coach Hampton is someone I've known for about 15 years. I first met him recruiting when I was coaching Division III, and he was coaching Division III. And who'd ever thought 15 years later we'd be working together, trying to accomplish the same goals. Coach Bree comes to us from Boston University. She too was in a Patriot League with me, someone I've known from afar through other connected relationships. The coaching world is such a small world. So knowing someone that I felt like could complement some of the things that we were looking to do and help us propel this program forward was important. Coach Lauren comes with me from Colgate University. She also played at Florida State much after me, but similar mentality, similar mindset, and just how we were groomed as players, how we were groomed as what's important to us as coaches.
There you go. There's the staff and a lot of connections that you said. You may not know them directly, but you know them indirectly. And that's got to be a wide open mindset of like, okay, I got to find and pick and choose the right people to come here because this is my program. And it's going to be a little bit different than Colgate than it is here at GW.
Absolutely. Look, I firstly just wanted experience, right? But I also wanted good people that were going to have a similar mindset as mine as what was important, right? We're a program that's really focused on developing the whole person. Right. While we're all very, very competitive, we also understand that this is not just about wins and losses. This is about developing people and helping them grow into great citizens that can propel into this world where we know that there's a lot of challenges. So that's always important to us, and wanting to be able to get coaches that are going to be really focused in helping them grow as basketball players as well. Speaking
of basketball players, you got started with practice here a couple weeks ago. Camp D up we got the signage all over the place. Take us through that, because it was basically like a mini boot camp to get things started here in the fall.
Absolutely. I wanted the team to fully understand when I say defense is important to us, what better way to emphasize that with the first 3 days of practice being all defense. So we were able to get a lot of our concepts in a very intense, enthusiastic type way. What I really enjoyed was the excitement level, the buy-in of our players and the joy that they brought every single day. I would say the best day of Camp D up ended up being the third day, which typically is not the case because that's 3 days worth of high intense type defense, but they came in with the willingness to learn and grow.
There we go. Is that the identity you're going off of, defense first?
Yeah, defense first, defense and rebound. Ideally, we want to be able to turn defense into offense. We understand that we're going to have to hunt great. That's what we say with the way we want to play offensively, a high tempo, motion type concepts, but at the same time, if we can create some offense from defense, we want to be able to do that.
There we go. All right, that's it for this episode of Race High at GW. We'll catch you next time here on Monumental Sports Network.
Conference Fall Championships are coming to a city near you. This is action you don't want to miss. Champions aren't just crowned, they're made. Witness it all at the Atlantic 10 Fall Championships.